Yeah, good day, some people all over the world. Today we are with our big daddy right here in his house, and I think it is a real privilege that we are having him on screen today. He's a man that the whole Isan land is proud of. You can't talk about Isan culture, history, traditions, and all that without mentioning his name, because he's one of the foremost person that you can really talk to or inquire something from about Isan in those fields. A complete gentleman, a man that has brought up and has trained so many giants in the field of education. He's a man every person have only been longing to see the face. A man we are all proud of. Let me not go too far so that I want to do his introduction for him, because he knows how best to introduce himself. Your host, Sunday Ehimare in Nebuluse, Ego Studio, London, UK. Daddy, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we are so happy having you on Ego TV Studio today, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sir, let us start with this, sir. Who is Professor Omon Ojugo, sir?
Well, you have already mentioned my name. My name is Matthew Ugbede Omon Ojugo. Worked in the university here in Ekpoma, Ambosale University. I was Deputy Vice Chancellor. I was Dean of the Postgraduate School. I was Dean of Education. I was Chairman, Senior Staff Disciplinary Committee. I was Chairman, Ceremonials Committee, and a member of the Governing Council for 8 years. And I was Provost of the College of Education in Gwebe for 4 years, before I went back to the university where I retired from in 2020. I'm a Knight of St. Christopher in the Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion, and I'm a Justice of the Peace.
That is wonderful, sir.
Thank you.
I'm sure if we give you time to start saying it, till tomorrow we'll be half to be here, because you are a man of very many parts. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I want to say again that Isan is proud to have you as a son. Yeah. Sir, we will be talking about Isan now. So let us start from this angle, sir. Who are the Isans and what are their characteristics, sir?
The Isan people geographically are located on a plateau in the central part of Edo State, and they occupy geographically about 2,987.52 square kilometers, located at the central district, in fact, Edo Central Senatorial District of Edo State. The Isan people are homogeneous in nature, homogeneous in the sense that they have a common language. That is not to say that there are no dialectal differences. There are, of course, but all of these dialects are mutually intelligible. The Isan people are vivacious, hardworking, vibrant, and they have a common custom, tradition, culture, and in all respects, they have many things in common. The people, for instance, have the same religious beliefs. They have the same customs in terms of bringing up of children, the mode of dress, traditional dances, which are common, and festivals, which are celebrated towards the end of the year after harvest season, when there's no much work that is done, and they are all relaxed, and they have cause to celebrate, and are thankful to God for a harvest season. So, the Isan people, like I said, are committed in bringing up children that should have the fear of God at heart. And in fact, the way the Asian people live, it is as if in fact, they key into the 10 Commandments, which we have in the Bible. They ensure that our youth are admonished not to commit adultery, not to steal, not to kill, and to abide by rules and regulations. And in fact, we have kingdoms where the energy are in control. We have about 34 or 35 kingdoms in Isan, and they are governed. There's a rule structure of governance that descends from the seat of the energy to the various villages where the Ojugo lives and the Adion help in administering the various communities on behalf of the energy. So the Asian people have a good structure in place to ensure that there's harmony, there's progress, there's growth, and security within the community. So these are the Asian people who are spread across 5 local government areas that make up Isan Land, Isan West, Isan Central, Igwebe, Isan Northeast, and Isan Southeast. This is Isan Land.
What a beautiful picture. Thank you very much, sir. Sir, there are diverse opinions that all Isan people came from Benin, while others said that some Isan came from Benin and others came from other areas. Others even say that Isan and Benin came from the same source. Sir, what is your opinion on this? And because your view on this has a way of creating the truth for others to know, sir.
Well, that is true. The Isan people have their origin mainly from Benin. But that is not to say before the name Isan was given to the people in the Isan land, that people did not live in the Isan land. For instance, we have Ekuma, we have Urua, we have Urom, we have Ubiaza, and so on and so forth. These were autonomous communities. But in 1463, many people started migrating from Benin as a result of the harsh rule of the Oba of Benin at that time, Eware, who unfortunately lost a child and lost a son, and came with very hard rules that people should not cook, no fire to be seen coming out from any household, no childbirth, and so many other rules. And the rules were very harsh, and people started migrating out of the Benin Kingdom, and many came into Isan land and occupied it. So in that 1463, as a result of the mass movement, there was the Oba himself was surprised that the population of Benin had depleted seriously, and he wondered what happened, and he was told that they have all fled to Sanfoa. That means they have jumped away from the kingdom. Why? And they told him. So quite a number of people who fled from Benin came to this part of the world. And that 1463, the people who fled from Benin now came to be known as Isan. No, in other words, Isanfoa. These are the people who ran away from Benin as a result of the harsh policies of the then Oba. So the Isan people had quite a number of them had been in the Isan land before that episode. But bringing all of them together as a group, they now became known as Isan. And in fact, the Oba of Benin at that time, of the Benin Kingdom, at that time, I think around 1463, brought the various chiefdoms together in a meeting in Benin and had a meeting with them for a reconciliation. So we now have the people who left Benin to settle in this part of the country under one umbrella called Isan. That was how the Isan people.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
So from the picture of what you've explained now, before the Benin migration, there were people in Isan land.
Sure.
Okay.
There were people in Isan land. Some came from northern part of Edo State to settle here, and they all came together to form what is now known as Isan land, or Isan people. Yes.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, let us now take a look at our language now. Definitely, our language is being used lesser and lesser almost by the day. Sir, what do you think we should do to revise this declining use of our language, Isan language?
Thank you. There are many reasons why the Isan language is threatened. In 2004, my inaugural lecture in the university was titled Isan Language Endangered, the implications it has for the teaching and learning of indigenous languages in Nigeria. Obviously, the Isan language is threatened when there is no transmission of a mother tongue to the new generation. That means that language is faced with death, or what we call extinction. That language is threatened. That means when the new generation takes over from the adult users of the language and they are unable to use the language, that is automatically the death of that language. That is the problem we have today in this land, because you have many parents of Isan extraction. Both father and mother are Isan, and their children are born into the families, but the children are unable to use the Isan language. Many resort to the use of pidgin in talking to their children. That is a threat to the Isan language. When there is no intergenerational transfer of language, mother tongue, to the new generation, that language is heading for doom, death. So there is a big threat to the use of Isan language as a result of attitude of our people. They want to identify with the English language or pidgin language. So they think by using the pidgin language, they are enhancing the academic prosperity of their children, whereas it is a wrong idea. You have to internalize and learn your mother tongue before you can appreciate that another language is meaningful and can be used in context of situations just like your mother tongue is. Understand? For instance, I am a native of Isan land. My parents were Isan people, and we were brought up to learn how to speak the Isan language before we went to school. And in the school where we were taught the Isan language. And as we grew, the English language was introduced. And that is what the federal government has in the national policy of education.
that the child's mother tongue should be used as the medium of instruction at the pre-primary school, at the primary school, and even up to GSS 3. But in practice, this is not the reality. Many of our people want to send their children to private schools where English language is used, even at the pre-primary school level, when the children have not internalized the use of their own mother tongue. These are the issues. The Isan language is threatened. It's seriously threatened. If we don't use the language in our home and it's not taught in the school, there are problems. The Isan language is then heading for extinction. These are the issues.
Wow, so serious, sir. Yeah. But what do you think we should do about this, sir?
Well, there has to be conscious effort to revamp the use of Isan language in our homes and in the school system. For instance, in the 1930s, the Isan language was introduced in schools by the Catholics. The Catholic mission, had a catechism. And the Isan language was taught in our primary schools, and children learned how to use the Isan language. This was followed by the introduction of Isan textbooks by one late Ojugo, and many others who built on it. And in fact, our late Dr. Christopher Okoje, when he was Minister of Education, he ensured that he used this influence to ensure that there was a standard orthography of the Isan language, which was developed by the language center, language center. So the Isan language has an orthography which is available for Isan language to be taught in our school system. I think we have it in Manual 5 in the language center, which was even available in many schools, even in Edo State, for teachers to use in teaching the Isan language. But there's a problem, because although the national policy on education has specifically stated that the child's mother tongue should be used at the pre-primary, primary, and up to GSS levels, government is not serious. There are no teachers of indigenous languages. It is only in Benin that such efforts were made at the College of Education at Keadolo in those days, where the Benin language was taught and produced teachers of the Benin language who went into schools to teach the Benin language. Apart from that, there's no other part of Edo State where indigenous languages are actually taught. So government has a fault in it. We have no teachers of indigenous languages. Colleges of education are supposed to produce teachers of indigenous languages. And even in the university, there should be, in the Faculty of Education, the teaching of indigenous languages, so that when teachers are produced, they can go to the schools, the various schools, if they are recruited, to teach indigenous languages. So if there are no teachers of indigenous languages and there are no textbooks, that means there's no future for indigenous languages. The government is not serious. There are no teachers, there are no textbooks. Efforts made by interested persons are what is responsible for some textbooks that you find written by such persons. Otherwise, when it comes to writing of textbooks, especially in language, there's what we call sequencing. There's what we call grading. You have to sequence the ideas that and the concepts. You have to grade them from pre-primary through the primary to a GSS level. But most of the so-called textbooks have no sequence. They are not graded. Anybody can just jump up and tell you that he has written a book on this language without following the principles and guidance that are needed for textbooks of language to be written for meaningful teaching of such indigenous languages in our schools. So there are problems. The government is involved in not, for instance, where are the colleges of education? The one in Ekeadolo is closed. It's now a technical college of education. The one at Igwebe is not, I'm not sure it is there, because when I was the provost of that college of education, it had no accreditation for 12 years. We ensured that accreditation was done, and we have full accreditation, and we were given 4 additional programs. It was our intention to introduce the teaching of indigenous languages before I left there. But I'm not sure any of those is in place now. So if we have no teachers of indigenous languages, who will teach indigenous languages in our school system? Who will write the textbooks for use in the schools? The university, the one we have in Ekuma here, there's nothing like the teaching of mother tongues. So there are obvious challenges that are inhibiting the effective teaching and learning of indigenous languages in our school system. But unlike what we have in Edo State, if you go to the Yoruba-speaking area, or you go to the northern part of Nigeria or the eastern part, there are conscious efforts for the teaching of indigenous languages. That is why you find that the major languages are thriving in such schools, in such regions. You can go to the university in the east and have a diploma or have a degree in Igbo language, or in the west, you can have a diploma, you have a degree in the Yoruba language. The same thing with the Hausa language. But minority areas, like we are in Edo State, we want to identify with the majority language groups. Like you at times you go outside this place and you meet an Isan person. If you introduce it, we say, who told you I'm an Isan person? Our people want to identify with the major groups, ethnic groups, as if they are shared. That is what is responsible for what we have. Many of our parents don't want their children to learn the Isan language. Say, no, learn how to speak English language. I asked you to go and bring something from the kitchen. I will cook you just now. You start speaking pidgin English. They feel by so doing they are enhancing the prosperity of their children in the learning of a second language. Whereas you have to learn your first language first, internalize it, and have the concepts of what it means before you can succeed in learning a second language. These are the issues, my brother.
Thank you very much, sir. But I'm already feeling very sad. Though I have to be happy too, because you've told us the exact problems we have in why our language are going down.
Yes.
But sir, I just want to take a message to the parents, to our kings, and to every Isan man, both at home and in diaspora, on how we can revive the use of Isan language, or how to reintroduce Isan language teaching in our schools, sir. There's a need for this, sir.
You know, anybody who is unable to use his mother tongue has no roots. You understand?
Yeah.
You must be able to use your mother tongue, because it is a status of identity. Your mother tongue is what is used to teach you manners, to teach you how to behave, how to respect your elders, how to greet, how to be obedient, how to have the fear of God, how to live in the society, and to know your boundaries. So the mother tongue is very important in whatever you grow up to be doing. You need it at all levels. And you could have visitors in your home, and you want to talk to your children. You know, there are facial gestures for you to facial gesture is a means of communication. You could wink, and you wink your eyes. Your children will understand that you have asked them to leave the living room because you have guests, without speaking your mother tongue. Or so many other things that you want to say which you don't want outsiders to know about. You use your mother tongue to communicate. And the mother tongue has emotional attachment. I give you an illustration. I did my youth service in Sokoto State, Dogodaji, 1975-76. And a remote village, from Sokoto to Yabo, Yabo to Shagari, Shagari to Dogodaji. In a remote place, where do you go? Nowhere. You write a letter home, you take 1 month, and before you have a reply, it is another month. There was one day, me and some of our colleagues who were also used to pass about three or two of us, we decided to go to the village. We had bulldozers working, and we went there to see. It was Najaka bulldozing the road that was going to Tambwa. And it was an excitement for us because a rural area. And we stood back watching. You know what I experienced? I had somebody use the Isan language. If you saw how I ran towards that person and grabbed him, the man was embarrassed. And I asked, "Are you an Isan person?" He said, "Yes." I trapped him. I said, "I'm an Isan person." For the first time for me to use my mother tongue, after several months, I was excited. I was happy. And every so often that we were not busy in the college where I did my youth service, and I heard that they were working, I would always go there. So I can use my mother tongue. The mother tongue is very, very important. It has emotional and psychological attachment to the language. And if somebody is stranded, you come across the person, he uses your mother tongue, you are at home with such a person. So what do? There is need for people to be conscious of the use of the mother tongue. These are professionals. Try this over and over again. I was asked to come in, we went around about 28 kingdoms in Isan land, recording our cultural values, the dances of our people, what happens when marriages are to be contracted, what are the cultural values of our people. You need language. You need your mother tongue to know the cultural values of our people. Because the Asian culture is very rich. Look at the dances of our people. Look at the folk tales of our people. They teach morals. So there is need for our people to know that the mother tongue should be used. Teach your children how to use their mother tongue. They are not going to lose anything. Rather, it is going to enhance their knowledge of so many things. Like I told you, we grew up as small children. We learned our mother tongue before we went to school. And going to school before the second language was introduced. And by the grace of God, we went further to study the English language in the university, that I became a professor of English and retired. So it does not mean that you have to teach your child pidgin English. You have to teach your child the use of English to enhance his prosperity in academic work. No. And the government has to step in. Let there be conscious effort made for the teaching of mother tongue in colleges of education and in the university. And let teachers of these products be given employment. Because if you go to the university to study mother tongue or college of education and you graduate, and there is no employment, whereas in our school system there are no teachers of indigenous languages, people will not be motivated to go and learn how to study the mother tongue. Make employment available for products of colleges of education and the university. And like we have in the national policy on education, let there be conscious effort in the production of textbooks, in the production of teachers, and let there be conscious effort by communities, by Enige, by John Way and others, opinion leaders in the community, but in telling our people, the Asian language is endangered. Use the Asian language to teach your children, to bring up your children. Look at the Igbos who live in our community. They teach their children how to use the Igbo language. The Hausa people who are here, they teach their children how to use the Hausa language. The Robos who are here, they teach their children how to use the Robo language. But our children who are here cannot even speak their mother tongue. It is something that is shameful and very painful. Very painful and shameful. So there is need for conscious effort to be made about how we should use our mother tongue in telling stories, moral stories, in singing, in dancing. The Asian language is rich of so many cultural dances, and it is the language that you use in dancing, in singing songs, in telling stories and tales, and in talking about the history of our people, where we are coming from, and the relationship that we have with one another. I tell you what happened. In December, I was in Canada, Calgary, and they told me that these are people, we are going to have an end of year party. I was invited. I went there. I was thrilled to see many of our people who are in Calgary. They dressed like this and people with a bull. And they came with their children and their wives. Some of them are married to wives. They were there with their children. Then they started talking and rejoicing about the end of year party. And they had a lot of drinks and food to eat. And there were dances, we were playing music, some of them Yoruba, some Benin. And I wasn't happy. I said, why? We have many good Isan musicians, Isan songs. If this is Isan Day, celebration of end of year party by the Isan people, there should be something peculiar to show that these are the Isan people. So, after a long time, I raised up my hand and I went to the microphone. I congratulated them for remembering their roots in celebrating end of year. But that there was something missing. Make sure the culture of our people is reflected in what you do. The music that you play, the dance steps, their dress code. I praise them for dressing the way our people, the way some of them dress. And I told them, what we are celebrating is always Sena or Senowele. And I took the microphone and I told them, let me give you an anthem that you always sing every year you are celebrating. So that you will know where you come from. And teach your children how our language is spoken. Teach your children how to speak our language. And I render the song. Always and I said no wele. 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 Always and all of you stand up, start dancing. And they were all happy. Everybody started dancing. As every year you have occasion to celebrate end of year. Learn this music. Learn this song. Always let it be your national anthem, because what we are saying is Happy New Year, Happy New Year. We are grateful to God that we are allowed to celebrate. Wow. So I was happy that far away there, they came together. But there is need for more of the use of our mother. There should be conscious effort to teach our children, no matter where they are, how to use our mother tongue. Because that is the roots that you have to show to the world that you come from somewhere. Or that your parents are from this part of the world. That's it.
Wow, what a great moment, sir. I feel so happy. This is a real opportunity. And I'm so happy we are tapping from your mother-in-law, living talent, sir. Because you are a gift to us, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Sir, the other thing I want to talk about now is about our culture, tradition, and all that. Now, sir, in this modern era, do you think there's a need for Isan to retain their culture, traditional customs, and all that, sir?
Without them, we have no culture. Culture is dynamic. Culture is a way of a given people. Culture is expressed in your language, the language that you speak. Culture is expressed in your mode of dress. Culture is seen in the way you behave. It's seen in the activities, in production of things. Culture is seen in the dances of our people. Culture is seen in religious beliefs. Culture is seen in the type of houses that you have in your place. Culture is seen in marriages. Culture is seen in your attitude to one another, acceptability in behavior. Culture is seen in cultural activities like festivities. So there is need for many of these cultural values to be retained. Culture is dynamic. There are aspects of our cultural heritage that may not be relevant now, which have to be done away with. And there are aspects of other people's culture that we need to imbibe to make our culture progressive in nature. You understand? For instance, like I said earlier on, we have, in terms of behavior, some of the norms of our people align very well with the Ten Commandments. You understand? Sure. We teach our children, don't steal, don't fight, don't kill, don't commit adultery, don't tell lies. And all of these are in the Ten Commandments. And believe in God. Yes, one God who is the creator of all things. Don't steal. If you are stealing by looking to your left, looking to your right, looking to your front and back, and nobody is there, you are stealing. Did you look up? God is there looking at you and is recording everything for you. Okay. So, these are the things we have to teach our children. And a lot, like I told you, culture is dynamic. We have influences of other people's culture that are, militating against our cultural values. The way you dress. For instance, many of our girls, they almost go about half naked. It doesn't mean anything to them. You could walk out there, you see a girl in pants walking along the road. That is against our culture. But because this is what they see in films and in videos, they say, what is bad in it? You see our boys with their hair, they now plait their hair. It's not a part of our cultural heritage. You find boys with earrings. It's not a part of our cultural heritage. You find boys say they are saying Yahoo Yahoo. It's not a part of our cultural heritage. That's all. These are external influences on our cultural heritage. So, we need to maintain our cultural heritage by teaching our children, don't behave like that, don't be like this, don't do that, so that you don't run into problems in life. Because our culture is, our culture teaches you how to bring up a child in the right way so that it will not run into any problem. You have what they call ritual killers nowadays. A child will want to kill the father or kill the mother or kill the brother or sister because of money. This was not part of our cultural heritage. So, we need to continue teaching the cultural values of our people, the custom and tradition of our people, so that we have a better society. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Safe? Yeah, sir. We in the course of explaining our language, you make references that we have many dialects in this, though understanding is still very possible. So if I may ask from this angle now, do we have a superior language or superior dialect in Isan, among Isan languages, sir?
No dialect, no language is superior to the other. The purpose of any language is for communication. So long as a group of people come together and they use that language for communication, no other person has a right to come and tell them your language is inferior or what your language is not superior. There is no language that is superior to the other. Any language can develop to become an traditional language for learning. Any language can be used to become a scientific language. Look at the Chinese language. Look at the Japanese. Look at the Russian. These are different languages. They are not English, but they have advanced using their language to discover things. The Isan language, like is usual for all languages. You have a language at the center. Then people move away from the center to the periphery. They move away from the center to the periphery. As you move away from the center to the periphery, with time and space, the language that is used as you move away from the center becomes a little bit different from what you have at the center. For instance, the English language. The English language as it is used in London, that's what they call Queen's English or received pronunciation, is different from the way the English language is used as you move away from London. You go to the West, Wales, Scottish. As you move away from the center, they become dialect. Although the English language is still the same, you start wondering, is this English really? You understand?
Right.
You understand?
Yes, sir.
That is how it is. Look at Benin, for instance. The center of the Benin Kingdom is Benin City there. As you move away from Benin, coming down towards our road, for instance, you get to Iho. It's the language of Benin that is spoken in there. It's almost Isan language. If you get to Ogiame, it is Isan language. If you get to Buyoho, it is Isan language. If you move towards Abudu, down after Abudu, it's a blend of Benin and Ika language. As you move towards Lagos Road to Ovia side, you have what they call Edone Kwe. That is a Yoruba language, like, you know Akure?
Yes, now.
That's what they call Edone Kwe. Okay. That is a Do and
Akure
language mixture. You understand?
Serious.
That is what you have with every language. If you look at Isan, for instance, if as you Ekpoma is closest to the west, to the east side.
Yeah.
The Asian language that is spoken in Isan is different from the way it is spoken in Iraq. If you go towards Ewu, the Asian language that is spoken there is slightly different from
from
the one that is spoken in Ekpom.
Okay.
If you go to Urom, it is slightly different from the way it is spoken in Irua.
Okay.
If you go to Ubiaja, it's different. If you go to Uwa, it's different. I tell you, when we were students in those days, I had a classmate, a good friend from Uwa, and an Uromi chap, good friend, 3 of us. We always come together in the evening and say, okay, what do we want to, we are relaxed, we want to take something. And there was this Uwaha man. There was Uwaha language he spoke. That was the first time of my hearing the language. And we fell down laughing when he said, Dume Duhon.
Okay.
Dume Duhon. Honestly, I was flabbergasted. I fell down. That my other Roman man fell down. We started laughing. And the poor man was embarrassed. Until after laughing because our ribs were almost breaking. I said, what did you say? He said, all he said was, let me have a drink. Let me drink it. I said, what do you mean by Dumedo? You understand?
Exactly, sir.
Because that was my first time
of hearing that.
If you look at the Isan language, we are still speaking about Isan.
Yeah.
You get to Igwebe. The Igwebe people were the last people that migrated from Benin. Rather, there was a war in Uzia area when the Oba of Benin Uzola went there to fight with people, and the process that Oba was killed and buried that way, close to Uwa.
Okay.
So the Gwebe people were warriors. So when it was no means of movement other than walking, so a number of them got to Igwebe, they were tired. Well, they are tired of, let us stay there. And they had Igwe. Igwe means a camp. So they settled there. Igwe, Epe. So they settled there. Wow. The neighboring village there, what do they call them? Ekeken. Those were the lands that also okay. Because they are connected to the palace. They are there. So you find, unless you are told, when you come across the Igbo person, they up till now, the language is closest to the Benin language. As you move away from the center to the periphery, you come across dialects of the same language, but they are mutually intelligible. The one among all of these varieties of the Isan language that when spoken, you will not easily say this person is from Urumi, or this person is from Ekoma, or this person is from Ubiaga, is the Irua language. When the Irua man speaks the Isan language, you are not, you won't easily say that he is an Urumi person, or is an Ekoma person. You will not easily be able to pin it down. So in a way, we can say the one that is spoken in Irua there appears to be
the central language.
To be the standard.
Okay, the standard, right.
Not that it is superior to any other.
Not at all, not at all.
Like I said, language is for communication.
Exactly, sir.
No one language is superior to the other.
Exactly.
All these are varieties of the Isan language, but they are all mutually intelligible.
Oh, what a great lecture, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So the last one now, sir, we want to address this in Isan language because I wanted some people to know you are Isan because with the intonation now, many of them may mistake you for a non-Isan person. So I want to talk to Isan people on the need for us to be united. If you look at Isan land today, there are divisions almost in every part of Isan land. Some on political ground, some maybe dialectical and other. Please, I want to talk to Isan on the need for us to have that sense of unity as Isan people. Sir, but sir, use Isan with this answer.
Abulo yaba Isan Okpa ole marija hin. Iri aba bibi nene ole ma hin. Irio ole ma hin. Uru okpa ole ma lo. Ole ma ze. Owake imare agbegbe ma yo gbegbe mare. Ebe sanre ameye. Oloke imare nyare azilo ole. Wagole Abona Yelm, Chief Anthony Enao. Again, or Rive Ibada, Olero Mudiama Reni Ebesarea Meya, Olole Azilole. Olezan Adamewege, Uko Nodabe Eko Vana Ibada. Don't have Otedo. Oro sebe obiaza ada kali oleze na da mewege onukwo no ye yo godo dagbare we agbo oro se bi lusi ada kali oda na wote sarija oda mu hospital oda mu valuron na yere ege ne gbeare da ba me no re akomo oni general hospital ni Olema mola ya. Abami no wege ande osiboni olewe nava ukala yoni hospital ni. Oda mwame oda muvaibo toesa. Ande ovo toesa reja okpa ibi olema. Abami Iyabo na lada ami ame ayina Anthony ina ore adwini Ali Ovai oda ye okay the university had water sa aba aye bena kida me university in Bokarana they were to the Mayway, honor movie school. Yara, your market bada is an amahe your more than in fact, a hair more than Lagos, a hair more than Adam University Vautesa. Adam College of Education, Adam very well. Adam College of Education, Adam Movedo. College of Education, Adam Movie, whatever another you bent. Adam Movagbo. Akwame ahịrịrị. On the University of Ekomana Lenaya, Adomokuwa, voters are reading. Alada to me, Imo, the University. They went out to teacher, Esuru, Nigeria, Esuru, Evolution. Ebesare Meye, Oloke, Maria Zilon. Dr. Igbalokoto Okoji. All about when we hospital for you, Zuma. On your power water in those days before an hour of commerce of Ireland. Any Jewelry when I was Central Bank. My area, I will limit no view. I don't know police. Mankare Italy, aho na heroic police. Okay, why you yanyu do that bare? Okay, a moron it I bare nepai iwoka mayo le agba. So why ma kugbe, why ma eho emo egbe ma. Ami governor Osovia San Omude Elenanya. I am never do what her son. Neither never gay, is a ring at Yago. Gay, Rabiowi, my governor, or less than only mean at that vara. Thou person. I am a poor. Ukbaribo. Eji mother aye is school, Oyeribo. Aye budu yubo. The teaching hospital no be royal. Oye, Omon is a jelly, Augustus, Alcomo. Oye, but then that money hospital in Valley. As I actually ought to go. Well, I can't win the winner in Elena, I did the other one. A general Nevada governor or less man, no? I don't know the water, this had we got the hour one kg, a humble somebody or you governor. The university has my bucket and where I hear being. You go by College of Education. I never had any as governor. About it, I didn't go by no senior. And why do you have to go by? If you are to tell me. Anybody who are on one, anybody hosted, mechanic did react to your. Yes, I wear a David. He gain also well. I can't one listen of Bill to every day. I want a lago Namerolo. Okay, the Mary and the Romani, Imon, the somebody minus. That man the Roman Rima. And then, it's all by Lolly, Eda Mudia, O Tessa, or Lado Lily. That the man could be, that man Zurona small. By your Deorea, that the man who am I with my hampe, who are Palimaze, if you are Baby in a net or lay marking. That the man could be, I could be or lay out. I'm a saboteur.
So on that note, we come to the end of this great interview. Not just an interview. I think I would rather call it a lecture, because what we had today is beyond interview. It was a lecture from our illustrious son, a son that we are all proud of, a father of a son that Isan really have hold on high esteem. He has actually spoken lots of words of wisdom into our brains, and I'm sure every Isan man that is really Isan, that truly have Isan blood flowing through his veins, we have one or two things to pick from this lecture. In fact, today is one of the happiest days in my life, because it was like an angel from heaven coming down to lecture us on what we are supposed to do to get it right. Once again, we say a big thank you to you, sir. And sir, we will always be here for interaction, because you have a lot to tell us to mold, to repair it, because your words here is more than what people can go to university to learn. People can't get what you just taught us here that easily. So thank you very much, and we say God bless you, and may the ancestors of this land be with you day and night. So on that note, we've come to the end. Once again, I'm your host, Sunday Himari in the Minister for Eagle Studio, London, UK. I knew more one or Jan or Rata, Eggy, Felicated or Ayo, or can take both by or Lamio. Molecular or lay on the Matava and Anya. Ayo, the Bayan of Chomo Carotesa, Mayo. It's an year of bonus for army. I became a Tamaya, Pamabo, Marana, Wana, you are Bulu, Papa, Bumi Beda, Walkie, we are.